wants to learn about science? I can tell you all about it. Do you believe me? How about now? No? Okay, that's better. Still not convinced? I know. There. That'll do it. Surely to God this adds, 20 points to my IQ. Now, somebody hand me a script.
This is United Aholes, a video cast discussing cultural topics with no filter.
Bill.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. To quote Bill in his own words, because Bill, the undergraduate mechanical engineering guy, wasn't marketable. His own words.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I know he's got a mechanical engineering degree and he studied calculus for 6 years. And he says to the science community, isn't that enough? No, Bill, it's not enough.
I disagree.
Not enough for what?
It absolutely is enough. Science is a method, not a school.
So a mechanical engineer talks about Y and chromosomes and other subjects that he has no idea about. Let's keep in mind that Bill Nye the Science Guy was made up during a sketch comedy show.
Absolutely, it's marketable.
If you're going to dedicate your life to science, you get grants, you do research. You don't go out with Steve Martin comedy tour and fucking follow him around the U.S. right after school. You go into hardcore science.
Okay,
It's an act. It is a brand.
He doesn't deny it's an act.
We got to unpack this a little bit. You said something about Steve Martin. Catch up the people that aren't in the know. What the fuck are you talking about with Steve Martin?
Steve Martin is a comedian.
I know that.
Steve Martin had an opening act, and Bill Nye went and was his opening act for a period of time.
But
you know,
but there's more to that.
He worked at Boeing.
No. He won a Steve Martin lookalike contest. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah.
What the fuck does that got to do with fucking him being an expert on a television show?
If you look
commenting on things that he has no fucking clue of.
So what's your degree?
What's that?
What's your degree?
He doesn't have a TV show, Ryan.
Well.
Oh, fuck.
That's my point. That's my fucking point, though.
So what gives you the right to do what you're doing right now to Bill Nye? If Bill Nye doesn't have the right to do what he's doing,
Ken's not.
I'm not presenting myself to be a fucking anything other than I fucking am.
Neither does
yes,
Bill.
He is.
What does he present himself as that he's not?
What's that?
What does he present himself as that he is not?
He will be called in as an expert on Fox News. And they will say, what do you think, Bill?
Fox
and
News.
His own rebuttal is, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And Randy will agree with me. If you have a subject that you have some knowledge on and watch Bill's take on it, you will be able to pick him apart because he mostly reads from a fucking script.
Before you drag me down your rabbit hole.
Yeah, you hate Bill Nye, right?
I am a Bill Nye fan, circa Disney era, 90s Bill Nye, where he was running an educational TV program.
That's right.
On PBS. And I think what he did for the science community and enabling people to find interest in science, myself included, and whatever else, is commendable and deserving of Bill Nye the Science Guy, and that's what his legacy should be. The Netflix stuff that he turned out, I have a feeling was his ability to maintain an income while portraying a different version of Bill Nye the Science Guy based on said scripts. That's my take. So the current Bill Nye stuff that's on Netflix, I'm not a fan of. Not because of the content so much, and not because of Bill so much, but the agenda behind it. That's my issue, is the agenda behind the current Bill Nye era. But to take away anything that he did in the 90s for education of the science, what's the term, STEM, that he promoted back then, and pushing a lot of people that are currently in scientific roles in the community, working at NASA, working at Boeing, working at any of those companies, or computer scientists at Microsoft or Google or any of those things, a lot of them attribute Bill Nye as the reason they got into science. So I think we owe him a hell of a lot for that, because we are using technology that's probably indirectly an influence of his. All these engineering students that come out and were Bill Nye fans when they were like in grade 8 and 9, and built a fucking tablet later in life, or designed a screen, or made it so you can touch your fingerprint to something and instantly get it unlocked, or the interfaces or cameras that we're using, those people are the real scientists, and he inspired them to go. In the same way that watching Spinal Tap might influence someone to play in a band because it looks fun. They're not a real band. They don't have no right to state that they're a band.
Yes, they are.
Well, okay, correction, they're a real band. A couple of them can play. A couple of them, questionable.
What's your,
Anyhow,
what's your definition of
that's a
band?
different episode. We'll talk. We'll tackle Spinal Tap in the future. But again, yes, I do agree with you. Should he go on Fox News? Probably not. But I think it's just a matter, they want someone to attack. And Bill's a great leftist to jump onto.
I was just going to say, if you're going to use a news program like Fox News who brings on anybody that will speak, you can't say that that is credit or not credit to his character. It is a character.
It is a character, and he
plays
he's
that
more,
character.
Well, he's more of an attention whore these days because he was at the Donald Trump's recent State of the Union address. He went with the guy that heads NASA now, as representing the science community, for a guy that says, no, NASA shouldn't study Earth sciences anymore. And there is no such thing as global warming and everything. And there's Bill, and the science community came out and just went right up one side of Nye and down the other. You know what I mean? But that's the thing.
He sat next to a denier?
He was a special guest. And Bill says, no, I was only there to promote, to get people interested in NASA. I wasn't there, but so 1 minute if the situation presents itself for him to go right, he does. If the situation presents himself for him to go left,
you're saying
he
that
does.
Bill Nye,
he's just
somewhere in public stated that NASA shouldn't study Earth sciences.
No, he was there.
He was with a
guy that doesn't want NASA to study Earth sciences.
Yeah, but he's also done a head-on debate with the guy that owns the Ark in the States, that big religious monument that they built.
Yeah.
And he's been on. Yeah, Ken Ham.
That was amazing.
He had a debate with Ken Ham. He's had debates with numerous people. Just because he was beside that person doesn't make him guilty of anything, I wouldn't think.
It sounds like Ken's of the school of thought that if this person doesn't think like me, I should disassociate with them and not open a dialogue to change their mind.
That he wasn't there.
You don't know why he was there. You just know that he was there.
He was there to call it when he was called out on. He goes, no, I was just there.
That's speculation on your part.
To get people. This is a quote from Bill.
No, you're saying that that's not true. Bill told you why he was there, and you're saying that's not true.
No, he was just there. That's what he was just there to get people interested in NASA.
Right, and you're saying that's not true.
But he was there as a special guest of a guy that
works at NASA.
Yeah. So if you're a scientist, a true guy from the science community,
I can't go somewhere with a guy from NASA to promote NASA because he doesn't have the same views as me.
Well, knowing what I know about Bill, he was just there to make sure that his picture was taken.
And there's something wrong with that?
Well, there is if you're just pushing your own agenda. Again, science.
What are you doing right now?
You don't have to do the fight.
Scientists get
Don't need
grants.
to do anything.
They
I'm
do
just waiting for some
studies
data
and
and facts that
everything.
matter so that you
know
can
what I
come
mean?
back with some counterfacts.
His own TV show back in the 90s and everything. Yeah, it was a kids' science show and everything. They were scripted. He followed the script. They had other actors on. He doesn't actually have any real scientists.
Scripted. Who'd have thought?
You know, but when you say, like I said,
This
in his
one
own
clearly
words,
isn't.
Bill, the undergraduate, mechanical engineering degree guy, wasn't marketable.
But science guy isn't no more a term than to me, if you said, oh, what's your job? I work in science. Or what's your job? Oh, I'm a mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineer definitely lends itself to more credibility. Science is just a general term for a methodology of research. That's all that is.
It's like Dr. Phil Talk Guy.
There's a guy in the States that got sued for calling himself an engineer, and he won the suit, even though he didn't have a degree in engineering, because the term engineer has a meaning. And he worked in a field that used that same meaning. He never ever stated that I have a degree in engineering, and that is...
I've been referred to as an audio engineer.
Exactly.
In the field, but not by myself, but I mean by other people saying, well, you're an audio engineer, you can do blah, 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 blah. engineer is a pretty big title to give that in my regard, because to me, an engineer is a ring.
Right, exactly.
It's a ring.
That's what a lot of people think, but the word engineer itself can be used.
Yeah.
But
You can't say you have a degree.
You dabble in that. I shouldn't say dabble. You do a great job in that ring.
Yeah.
And it would be included in the outer ring, if you will, of that particular field.
Right.
Would that be a good
And
assessment?
science guy is a much more vague term than engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we tried his way. Let's try something else. You have counterfacts.
Okay.
So why don't you start your counterfacts and see if Ken can dispute your counterfacts?
Well, he sort of took away some of my thunder.
Okay, so wait. I want to sort one thing out. Are you saying that Bill shouldn't be on television at all? Are you saying that Bill isn't an entertainer, or Bill isn't a science guy?
I'm saying that Bill doesn't represent true science. He's an entertainer.
Okay, so he doesn't represent true science. I just want to get a foundational argument from this side.
Okay.
Yeah, we need the two sides. Okay, so this was touched upon. I'm going to say it anyway. He enrolled at Cornell University, where he studied mechanical engineering, and he earned his Bachelor of Science degree. So that, in my mind, would make him, at least, like you said, science is a giant term. He is a scientist of a certain study, which would be mechanical engineering. Now, with that, he began his career as a mechanical engineer for
So
Boeing.
he would be a BSA PNG.
Right. So he began his career as a mechanical engineer for Boeing Corporation in Seattle, where he invented a hydraulic resonance suppressor tube used in 747 airplanes. So he didn't just get the degree, he now contributed to the actual field that he studied in.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay, well, but we didn't. I'm just giving context to people watching. And let me see here. Yes.
He studied calculus for 6 years.
In the early 2000s, he assisted in development of a small sundial that was included in the Mars exploration rover missions, known as the Mars dial, and included small colored panels to provide a basis for color calibration in addition to helping keep track of time. Now, when I first read that, I went, who cares? And then I went, wait a minute, hold on. This went to Mars, and they're doing color calculations where literally colors would look different. So that would be something that would be fairly exact, I would think, if they're using that like, we're going to send this to Mars, it has to look like this in order for us to tell. So I would think it would be fairly involved stuff. I couldn't do it. He holds 3 United States patents, one for ballet point shoes, one for an educational magnifying glass created by filling a clear plastic bag with water. That one does sound a little dubious, but regardless, he's got the patent for it. And a device for training an athlete how to throw a ball, and a design patent for a digital abacus. So the reason for me bringing that is he has contributed in his field, which is a section of science. Now, this is one of the things I really like. He was anti-GMO. And instead of staying on that stance, he went and he gathered more information and talked to some other people and went and did the scientific part, which is, this is what I think. Let's go find out if this is true. Got good information and said, yeah, you know what? I've changed my mind. Went back and rewrote a section of his book to state I was incorrect. GMOs are fine. I believe he said there's no difference between allergies among GMO eaters and non-GMO eaters. I have changed my mind about genetically modified organisms. Why that's important to me is there are people that take a stance on things and say, nope, that's it. You cannot tell me anything.
I've already locked in my answer. Yeah.
Right. And so that lends to integrity on his part. So Bill Nye the Science Guy. That does not say in there, Bill Nye, I have a degree in da-da-da-da-da. It's a general term, Bill Nye the Science Guy. And you're right, it did come, there was a sketch comedy show he was on, and he corrected how somebody pronounced a word, and the response back on this sketch show, the guy said, who are you? Bill Nye the Science Guy? And it just stuck. It's just one of those things.
Gigawatt was the word.
Gigawatt, yes. I don't know how the guy pronounced it.
Probably gigawatt.
Yeah, I'm assuming, and he corrected him. And so I could be, Brent, the Star Wars guy. Doesn't mean I'm trying to say I'm George Lucas. It's a name.
So he's the Wallowitz on the Big Bang Theory.
Who was a scientist? He went to space.
So did Homer.
Don't.
So
And he brings experts to the Netflix show.
I agree. Yeah,
He brings people in to debate where a lot of times he sits back and says, okay, what is your view on this? What is your view on this? Where are we? And from what I've watched all the episodes, and he doesn't at the end of it go, well, here's the way it is. If there's a field where, you know what, this is going to have to be studied further, or this is where we're at, this is what we believe to be true, which is the scientific method. We think this is true. Now let's see if we can't disprove it. That's how it works. This is what we believe to be true. Let's see if we're wrong. So he brings people on to say, well, have you considered this? Have you considered that? This is from this source. This is from that source. So I don't think there's a lot of arrogance on his part as far as I'm Bill Nye the Science Guy. Everything I say is right. And you're right. He gets his information from other places. And he is a television personality. You were 100% right. But here is my last word on this. In a world with celebrities like Melissa McCarthy telling mothers not to vaccinate their children.
Jenny
McCarthy.
Not Melissa McCarthy.
Not Melissa.
Okay.
No.
Melissa McCarthy is a national treasure.
Sorry, I misspoke. Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah.
I was half right. With her saying, don't vaccinate your children, I will take the Bill Nyes of the world every single time.
He's starting to come out like that now, making just statements about what people should do. And this is what got me on the thing. That was his statement. Half the people are female, half the engineers should be female. And it's like, Bill, how about you let the ladies decide what they want to be?
Right, but what's the context? He's trying to get females interested into being engineers. That's where that's coming from.
One of the biggest complaints in the women don't make as much money as the men argument, the wage disparity argument, is the fact that women, by the time they hit the age where you should be digging into STEM, don't wanna. And they're trying to generate more interest with them. And the reason he's saying that half should be is if you guys want to have equal wages, then you need to do equal parts. That's really what he's saying. If you want to make the money of a PhD at NASA, you need to be a PhD at NASA. That's all it comes down to. I firmly believe what he said.
If you want the money, do the work.
Right. If you want things to be equal, you need to have equal parts.
I didn't see any of that. I guess I missed that part.
Well, there was that part that you just said wasn't in the quote, so.
No, I don't disagree, but I don't know where the quote came
Where's
from.
the source of the quote?
It was just from Bill Nye he was talking to somebody. What really got me though was the fact that he was on Fox debating an actual scientist, and they asked Bill Nye what his opinion was, and Bill Nye said the expert doesn't know what he's talking about, even though it was a field that Bill didn't really know too much about. And that's where I have the gray areas, like, okay, which is the personality and which is the actual, you know what I mean? Like,
Where's the act?
Where's the act and where's the...
If the camera's on, the act is on.
So can I bring up a little asshole point? And I don't mean to do this. You might punch me square in the face for this one.
Ooh, this can go.
But a friend of mine wrote an article recently, and someone with a PhD in English literature tore that article apart for racism overtones. So you saying
I saw her this morning.
Do you think people should not argue just because they don't have a degree in something? Just saying.
That is the asshole moment so far of our
No,
series.
they can argue. They're completely, totally
It's just not
wrong.
on Fox News.
So you're saying you're wrong with your
It's
argument.
not on Fox
No,
News.
Bill Nye is wrong.
Okay, Bill Nye
In
is
that
wrong.
concept, he's wrong.
Okay, so here's what you're saying.
Because you have a degree in the field that they were talking about, and you can tell Bill Nye why he's wrong.
Here was my point. Bill Nye is not a scientist or not a whatever.
He's mostly personality.
Okay, Bill Nye's not in your eyes. Bill Nye's not a scientist. He was on Fox News arguing with a scientist. PhD in English literature, Ken Moyer. That's all I'm saying. That's the comparison we're doing here. So you lose that argument based on merit alone.
Randy's trying to get us kicked out of Ken's house.
You know I love you. I'm just playing the...
It's Area 41. It's not Ken's house. Jesus, fuck.
Oh, now we
There go the t-shirt fucking sales.
The t-shirt sales and the phrase we've used twice in 10 series.
Four times. 4 times.
4 times. It's in 4 times. But it's back at 5 now.
Yeah, it's not forced. That's for sure.
Welcome to Area 41.
All right. Have we beat up on Bill enough? Anyone got a final word? Doesn't Bill do a final word or something?
That's Jerry Springer.
Oh, shit.
Wait,